Sweet, I'm so tired of you. Every dog must have his day. Sweet, I'm so tired of you. Sweet, I'm so tired of you treat me this way.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Reach Out Podcast. This is your host, Juan Pablo Orques, and I want to thank you all for tuning in once again, for working on professional development journey, and for listening to me. Listening to my conversations, listening to my interviews. I'll tell you this: I'm really, really excited. There's a video where we're gonna touch on some of the things that have been going on in the back end, kind of like logistics side of things of this podcast, and some of the things that I'm working on. So this year, 2025, is continuing to be one of the most proficient years for the Reach Out Podcast. So without further ado, I want to tell you guys, please follow me on Instagram at Reach Out Podcast. Follow me on TikTok at The Reach Out Podcast, and connect with me on LinkedIn at Juan Pablo Orques. Message me on LinkedIn if you have any questions, or if you want for me to bring out someone in particular for the podcast, please do that by messaging me on LinkedIn. Let me tell you guys a little story about what happened and why you guys are seeing this video on February, not January. I don't know if you guys are seeing this right now, but we have two angles on this recording and we're in a different setting. So that is not an accident, obviously. And I just want to give a few shout outs before we start. The first shout out is to the Mind Project, led by the amazing Carissa Barrow. She's actually the first ever sponsorship for this podcast, for the Reach Out Podcast. There were times that I dreamt about saying this on camera, and now that I actually am able to say this, it just brings me a lot of joy. So thank you, Carissa, and thank you, the Mind Project, for contributing with this amazing Sony camera that I'm looking at and I'm talking to you directly. And the second shout out that I want to give is to the UH Tech Bridge, the University of Houston's Tech Bridge. This is a community and that's always growing and striving for the entrepreneurs, the tech enthusiasts, the fundraisers, and the nonprofits, and most importantly, the startups. I'm surprised about just how many people don't really know about the University of Houston's Tech Bridge, focus on tech innovation and all that. This is the place that you want to go whenever you have a startup idea and you need someone to guide you. This particular shout out is focused on the podcast studio that we're recording on right now. This podcast studio is a new studio and it counts with top of the line equipment when it comes to audio and working on video as well. For all of the University of Houston students, please feel welcome to use this studio because it is for you and it is for your projects as well. With that said, I also want to include that whenever you want to use this studio, just look up in the UH Tech Bridge website. Also message me on LinkedIn regarding this. I'm going to be here to guide you. I'm going to be here to mentor you when it comes to building your own podcast. All that comes with logistics, editing, equipment, and how to talk directly to a camera. I'm here for you and I'm here to help you. It just brings me a lot of joy that I can help out the University of Houston that has brought so many good memories and so many good lessons to my journey. With that said, I want to jump right into topic. And this episode, as I mentioned, is going to be about 2025. We're going to talk about some of the things that probably did not work as efficiently last year and even the year before that, and how these things are going to change in this current year. So I recorded this video in January. I don't know if I already mentioned that. And the reason why you're seeing it, why I'm recording and you're seeing this video in February is because when it comes to equipment and when it comes to the editing side in a more professional level, now having more than one angle, having a camera in itself, it is kind of new territory for me. And I'm dedicating a lot of my time, a lot of my efforts to learning more about how these things work. With that said, I want to tell you guys that it took me a long time, maybe weeks, to just get the nitty-gritty on how I can edit this 4K videos that I'm trying to put out on YouTube. Because it is kind of difficult, and I'm kind of getting all the equipment, all the programs, kind of like Adobe Pro, so I can get this done in the most efficient manner. But I don't want to compromise quality. That is out of the conversation. So in the previous video that I recorded, I was talking also about 2025. I touched on three main areas that I want to employ for this podcast and that I want you guys to hold me accountable for. You see, although I do my interviews with other people, I also want this to be a relationship between you guys and I, in the sense that the things that I'm saying that I'm going to do them by the end of this year. And I'm going to accomplish them. And I want you to hold me accountable for it. So I also want to take this as an opportunity for you to hold yourself accountable. You know, there's things that you put as in January as your goal settings for this year when it comes to either school or job or just personal goals. Stick to them and look back at this video a year from now and just measure and evaluate and say, yeah, I was able to do that. I was able to change this year from past year, and I'm a different person. So I want to start up by the first point, and it being, obviously, I'm kind of already locked. I'm going to be completely honest with you, and I'm going to level up with you guys, say that this is not something that I've been accomplishing till this point of the year, but now I'm focusing on actually pulling through with this, and that is doing one episode, at least one episode of the Reach Out podcast per week, whether it being an interview or an episode just like this where I'm talking to you directly, guys. Now, obviously, the idea and the ideal situation is for it to be the vast majority of interviews where I'm interviewing different professionals, different recruiters, different executives, because at the end of the day, that is why I created this podcast. So you guys can learn from these people that have gone through a whole career, through a whole journey, and have all these amazing advice to give, all these amazing lessons to give to y'all. So that is the first point. Do an episode, at least one episode per week. And starting next week, you best believe there's going to be at least one episode per week till the end of the year. Second of all, and it comes kind of like hand in hand with the first one, is that I really want to treat this podcast as my career. And not only the podcast, but the Reach Out brand in itself. And the reason why I say this is because my calling is to help out people. That is plain and simple. I get so much fulfillment from helping out the students, helping out the recent graduates, that I know that I need to do this for the rest of my life. The truth is that I look back on when I started this podcast from my brother's bedroom in his desk, because he had the big bedroom, so I had to use his desk to record. And I remember sitting in front of this kind of like C-tier podcast equipment and a 1080p camera, like video cam for my old laptop. And I would sit there and just interview all these people. And whenever I used to come here to record on campus, I used to do it on the library. Definitely not optimal scenario for a recording for actual podcasts, you know? But now look where I'm at right now and where I was back then. And, you know, taking a look around, I must be doing something right because I'm progressing, you know? You know, measuring my success and how things have changed is really important towards me. And more importantly, the people that I've helped throughout this journey. I cannot tell you how many times people around campus or just outside have told me, give me great feedback on my program, and have told me specific ways in which I've helped them through my conversations. That to me means the world. I just want to continue that times 100. And the reason why I say this is because I'm going to double down on everything when it comes to content, when it comes to quality of interviews, when it comes to equipment. And with that also comes funding, you know? I'm going to make my year's mission to get some extra funding for the Reach Out podcast. That being through grants, that being through sponsorships, etc. I'm going to be honest, I'm not the most knowledgeable when it comes to this, but I already said I'm going to do it, so you better hold me accountable for it. By the end of this year, I'm going to have some real funding, and I'm going to make this an actual operation. and I make this an actual career because it is possible and I want to do it and I'm going to do it. Now, I'm going to get actually honest with you guys. The reason why I continue to do this podcast and the reason why I keep just recording and turning on the camera is because of the people around me. You know, surrounding myself with a good group of people that are supportive, that want to see me succeed, always just gives me that extra motivation that I need, you know? And that has inspired me just to keep my circle smaller and just really taking care of nurturing the relationships around me, that being my friendships or my mentorships or just my networking overall. I just realized that this year that taking care of those relationships is the most important thing in the world. So to all those people, few people out there, you guys know who you are. I just want to express my deep gratitude towards you guys, because your positivism and my just drive is a good combination, and I'm just really, really grateful towards all of you guys. So thank you so much. And third, I want to be really specific about this one. This is something that I truly dreamed of in the past, and that is doing a reach out event, a reach out kind of like a fair or just a networking event, a big networking event where all of you guys and all of the like my friends can come out and talk to some of the guests, and there will be food and drinks and just a big event where I can talk to a crowd and just continue to express my gratitude and just share my knowledge and share the knowledge to my guests. So I feel like those three are kind of the initial goal setting and 2025 intentions. Obviously, we're mid-February now. And I would say that logistically, it's gone really well. You know, I'm sitting now and I cannot tell you how many nights I stood in front of my laptop, standing like just figuring out Adobe Premiere Pro, not knowing what was wrong with my video file. Because let me tell you guys, this video file was just so laggy. It was unbelievable. And I didn't even know what I was doing. It was only I came across one of my now friends. He's a great editor, a great photographer, and great videographer. And he sat down with me, shout out Mayolo. He was so nice. He just literally sat down with me and just explained every single thing that I needed to know to continue to record my podcast. So I'm not going to lie, it was really frustrating not being able to record for a few weeks. But we're back at it. And please stay tuned. And more than anything, keep yourself accountable. You know, of course, I love to record these episodes, but I also want to look back next year and say, yes, I was able to achieve everything that I said I was going to achieve. So, new episode next week is probably going to be the interview with Gabriel Newton from Microsoft. I may be wrong, but that's what I'm pushing for. So stay tuned. And again, I'm really, really excited to keep on recording. Don't forget to always reach out. It's not about the things that you can get from people, but it's about establishing real connections. So yeah, see you guys on the next one. Bye-bye.
Sweet, I'm so tired of you.